Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. We are here with our friends from the Center of Disability and Elder Law, and they're going to share with us some important information about how to receive legal assistance, even free legal assistance, for anything that you may be challenged with or are struggling with at this time. So, let's go ahead and get started. Can everyone see my share?
Yeah, you just gotta hit the present.
Okay, great. Just want to make sure. Okay, we're still together. Can you see me? Can you see the presentation? Um,
That's
just
a yes.
yeah, I can't for whatever the reason I'm not able to see you. So I just want to make sure you can see me. Okay, so before we get started in the meat and potatoes of this presentation, I just want to pause for the cause. We're going to do a little promo about who we are and what we do. And if you don't know by now, my name is Felicia Williams, and my husband, Ricardo Williams, and I are the owners of Seed to Fruit Cause We Care and Seed to Fruit Education. Seed to Fruit Cause We Care is a nonprofit organization. Our mission is to support those who provide cognitive care for others. Seed to Fruit Education is our for profit business, and we are even more intentional about targeting the needs of anyone who takes care of someone that has a cognitive impairment, whether they're young or old or in between. Our goal is really to be a hybrid solution for cognitive care. Our products are designed to be assistive technology interventions, and these interventions assist with communication, executive function, and behavioral management. They come in the form of handheld visual aids and communication systems that can be used with individuals who have disabilities of any age or at any stage of cognitive decline. Our flagship product, seen at the very top of this page, is the transition boards. It's the parallel teaching and transition board system, or otherwise known as the PTTBS, and it's designed to work with school-age children who might have a cognitive delay, a language or learning disability, or even a behavior disorder, or even perhaps a combination of all three of those things in the form of autism spectrum disorder. The PTTBS provides multifunctional interventions that are very easy to use, and they allow the user to pivot when needed. Our most recent product we developed is called the Senior Care Board System, and you can see that at the bottom of this poster. The Senior Care Board System was born out of personal experience that my husband and I had working with loved ones in our family who have different forms of dementia. We found that when it came to working with our loved ones and finding products and resources, it was virtually a memory care desert, meaning there was nothing really out there to help us work one to one with our loved ones. So, my husband and I received divine inspiration to retrofit our flagship product, the PTTBS, and make it into something that allows others to work with loved ones who need assistance, one-to-one assistance, and also gives them, and it doesn't really strip them of their independence. And the assistance that's provided is in a structured and manageable way. So, since we are very service oriented, we provide wraparound services that support the needs and wants of all of our clientele. And this includes training modules for our products, which can be in the form of in person or on demand. And the Cause We Care nonprofit organization hosts support groups. We have we have a resource network where we try to provide you with anything that you may need in the area of memory care or caregiver support. And we have info sessions like the one you're participating in tonight, or workshops designed to help with the needs of the caregiver or needs of the one that you are serving. For more information, please feel free to text us or email us. We'll put all forms of our contact information in the chat, and that will be our website, our email, and our business phone number. So thank you for joining us, and let's turn our attention to our agenda. So tonight we've already opened in prayer. So we will move on to introducing our speaker, who is attorney Eva Adams. We will have a Q&A session. Then we will provide you with a list of resources. We'll have final remarks and then close in prayer. So I am so happy to present Miss Eva Adams. She is the staff attorney with the Center for Disability and Elder Law. I came across the Center for Disability and Elder Law, or CDEL for short, at the Release the Silence Alzheimer's Association conference last May. And I was struck by all the free resources that were available. So when it came about that we needed to have a presenter for our info session regarding legal assistance, I reached out and I was greeted so warmly by Mary Ann Manley, who is one of the faithful volunteers that works at the CDEL. She was so helpful with support and providing all the connections and the things that I needed in order for this night to happen. So I just want to shout out to Mary. Thank you so much for your help. Our speaker tonight is again Eva Adams, and Attorney Adams is a staff attorney leading the CDEL's Housing Preservation Project. In this role, she provides legal assistance related to home ownership, concerns such as identifying and resolving title issues, planning succession of homes, and claiming property tax exemptions. She also works with defending against foreclosures and building violation cases. She started at the CDEL in 2023 as a COT gerontology, I hope I said that right, scholar during law school. Eva joined CDEL in September of 2024. She earned her Juris Doctor from the Loyola University in Chicago, Illinois, in 2024, and she received recognition for leadership and service to public interest. She received her Master's of Arts in Liberal Studies from Northwestern University in 2017 and a Bachelor's of Arts in English from the University of Texas in San Antonio in the year 2012. So, we want to welcome our guest and our speaker, Attorney Eva Adams.
Thank you so much. That
Yes.
was such a great intro. I'm going to have to do you justice with this presentation. I am sharing my screen, so I just want to make sure it is visible.
Please shout out if you can see it. Can anyone see? Can everyone see?
Yes.
Wonderful. So, I also want to caveat that we're being recorded and I get a little nervous. So if I stutter, let me know. Tonight we're talking about power of attorney documents. And so these are a little different than what I do every day, because I focus a lot on the house, and the house is like, a source of generational wealth. But that's not to say that these documents aren't important. Every type of estate plan, from low income up to Elon Musk, will benefit from having a power of attorney document. Before I get started, this presentation is for informational purposes only. I'm an attorney, but that doesn't mean I'm your attorney just yet. So nothing in this presentation is meant to be construed as legal advice for any individual legal matter. And of course, our contact info is right here. I'm going to share that again at the end because it doesn't matter yet. You don't know why you need these documents.
Eva,
So
I'm sorry,
Oh,
before you
yes,
get
ma'am.
started, I just want to make sure because I don't see your presentation. Can anyone
Oh,
else speak up if you can see her presentation?
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
I get it. Lots of screens happening. So before I even get going, I had such a great introduction by Felicia, but the Center for Disability and Elder Law requires just a little bit of intro too. So CEDEL is a nonprofit organization founded in 1984, and we're dedicated to protecting and advancing the legal rights of low-income senior citizens and persons with disabilities within Cook County. We started as a small committee from the Chicago Bar Association, and over the last 41 years, we've been growing. We're now about 23 staff big, and we have multiple programs. So tonight we're talking about our power of attorney workshops, and those tend to follow the format of someone comes out and gives education, and then we follow up with the individuals. In a specific location. Like we'll bring attorneys to you if there's enough interest, or if not, we will actually transition people into our community clinic program. We operate, it says 10, we now have 11 community clinics throughout Cook County, primarily on the south and southwest sides, but as far north as Wilson in Uptown. And the point of that is, I'm not a princess in a white tower. We want to serve people in their community where they live. Cook County is massive. So it's easily like a whole day just to get downtown. So our goal is to help people where they are. We also operate an adult guardianship help desk at the Daily Center, and that is for seniors who didn't have a power of attorney documents, so that the court can name somebody to assist them with their medical decisions and their finances. But it's also for children aging into 18 who still need their parents to assist and guide them, because somebody who turns 18 under the law is presumed to be an adult and they can make their own choices. My program, the one you heard a little bit about, is all about providing assistance to cost burden senior homeowners and creating a home succession plan. So that's a very small subsect of estate planning that primarily deals with your house after death, but not tonight. We're talking about during life. So CEDL itself has several practice areas. Estate and end of life planning, we're in that tonight. That's during life, at death. There's an estate plan that covers all of that period of time. We do housing and other real property issues. So if maybe a power of attorney isn't what you need, but you have another legal issue and it relates to housing, landlord tenant, eviction work, you're not claiming property taxes or property tax exemptions that you need, we do that. Call us. Again, adult guardianship of the person. We work with the early resolution program for collection and consumer debt issues, and we handle some simple divorce work. So if that seems like a lot, it's because it is. We have a two-pronged mission. So first is to provide that low cost, free legal services to individuals, but also to partner with volunteer attorneys and paralegals and law students in the Chicagoland community to provide pro bono service. We want to foster that spirit of pro bono service. So eligibility, I've tossed around the word free, and you're like, how can you do that? So to be eligible for CEDL services, you are a resident of Cook County, you're over the age of 60, or you are a person living with a disability. And then you have a legal issue that's within our practice areas. So that's estate planning, guardianship, housing. We do prioritize low to low moderate income. With that said, I don't provide a number because magically, once I give a number, everybody's under that number. Um, we don't want to incentivize anybody to be untruthful with us. With that said, we do look holistically at a person's income. And if we're not able to offer assistance, we provide a tailored advice letter that identifies the issue, and provides you resources of where to find assistance, sometimes on a sliding scale. So tonight, I know that was a lot going on, but tonight we're talking about don't wait for the crisis. This is elder life planning and appropriate legal documents to help you do that. So this is all about advanced planning, and I'm going to say that multiple times tonight. Um, but what is advanced planning? And that's the need for medical, financial, and or legal assistance. And often these are all issues that aren't siloed individually. They're interrelated. Planning ahead is meant to minimize the stress, the financial problems, the family problems, and the drama, and then the health harms associated with those challenges. So, advanced planning can look like completing advanced directives, like we're going to talk about, but it can also look like seeking out coordinated healthcare, planning for long-term non-medical care, and considering housing choices. Do you want to live alone? Do you want to live in a community? Do you want to age in place? Do you have somebody to help you do that? Um, Often there's always a reason to start planning. It's sometimes like a light switch. Somebody has to want to do this. Reasons for planning could be a sudden decline in decision-making ability, whether that's due to a sudden hospitalization or injury, or if it's to an like the onset of dementia or Alzheimer's. It could be when you're starting to experience transportation issues or when it's time to take away the keys. I know that's a really hard moment. It could be when you're starting to have a hard time around your house. Maybe cooking's getting hard. Maybe it's hard to get up the stairs. It could be when there's home safety concerns. So we see a lot of homes that have passed down through the generations, and maybe the roof needs repair, the porch needs repair. These are things that you really have to plan for. It could be difficulty managing finances or being vulnerable to financial abuse. There's a lot of scams out there, and I always applaud people who question answering my phone calls, even at the same time while I want them to answer me. And of course, Alzheimer's and related dementias just do really take a toll on individuals, and it is a reason to start planning early. That's why we want to talk about planning before the crisis. Planning is needed during lifetime when experiencing advanced life challenges. It's not just about those end of life decisions. We always want to think about, do I want to be buried or cremated? But in the interim, how do I want to be taken care of when I'm at the hospital? What treatments do I want while I'm still here? So advanced planning, right? And that means legally that the person signing the documents has to have legal capacity at the time that they're signing. Legal capacity is a term of art. It's defined as the ability to understand the nature and effect of the act of which you are engaged. There's different capacity for different legal documents. Really important to note here, you don't have to have legal capacity to revoke your power of attorney for healthcare, which we're going to talk more about, but you will need capacity to revoke that power of attorney for property. Capacity, um, means that the principal is going to direct the drafting of the advanced directives. So this is really important because we get calls all the time at CDEL from well-meaning children and loved ones wanting to do a power of attorney for dad or wanting to do a power of attorney for their sister. It's not that they're trying to do something bad, but they're really just trying to help. But we need to talk to the principal or the person who needs the document. So dad will have to do the power of attorney. They will have to appoint their daughter or someone else as their agent. Dad, as the principal, will have to direct the drafting of these documents. I'm so sorry. My slideshow keeps skipping ahead and I have to go back, but I'm not going to miss a slide. Formalities for the powers of attorney. We want to make sure that these documents are valid, right? They have to be in writing. There's statutory forms that we use, and really all that means is that the state legislature prescribed what should be in these documents. So we use the words that the state has prescribed in hopes that that will be accepted by the most um, agencies. They have to be signed by the principal. So the person who wants the power of attorney has to sign that document, and it has to be notarized and witnessed. Here in Illinois, we only require one witness, but Indiana requires two. We know that Chicago is a mobile city. So, we want to make sure that we use two witnesses on that document just in case. What if you want to go move with your daughter in Indiana? You want that document to still be valid. Um, oh, it's just the power of attorney for property that has to be notarized. We take care of that for you. We always provide information about it. So I've talked about that you're planning these before the crisis happens. You're going to name somebody to help you out. And then that's the big question. Who do you name? And practically that, or as a matter of theory, you can name anyone. It has to be somebody that you choose who's over the age of 18, who's legally competent, meaning a court hasn't appointed them as a disabled person who needs a guardian. And it's not the principal's primary physician or healthcare provider. So you can't appoint your doctor to make your choices for you. But as a matter of practicality, who should be your agent? You can name anybody. You can put Elon Musk down as your agent, but they are not obligated to act on your behalf. So you're going to want to pick somebody who's interested in you. And that doesn't have to be romantic. That just means that they're interested in your well-being. They have a tie to you. You want them to be trustworthy. You want to know them very implicitly, and you want them to know you and what you want. You want them to be organized. And a good example here is if they're not making their doctor's appointments, they're not keeping their bank account balanced, what makes you think that they can help you with that? They're already struggling. You want them to be well suited to the task. A good example here is if you have two children, you are not required to make your oldest child your power of attorney. If one is a doctor and one is a nurse, or a doctor and an attorney, or a doctor and a banker, you might want to have your child who is a doctor be your medical power of attorney because they understand medicine. Whereas your attorney or banker child may be better suited to be your power of attorney for property, for managing your finances. Um, you want them to be deferential. And what I mean by this is that you want to know that the person you're naming as your agent is going to effectuate your choices, your desires. So if you have a child who strongly believes that you can't cremate a body, they may choose not to cremate your body if that's your wish. You want to make sure that they are going to act the way you want them to for you. And finally, we're always concerned about undue influence. Sometimes the person who is may like strongly telling you to do something maybe isn't the person that should be doing it. This comes up with finances. If somebody wants to be your power of attorney, you have a grandniece who just came into your life and they want control of your finances, we might pump the brakes a little bit. We're always looking out for that as attorneys. That's not to say we won't do it if that's what you want, but we do talk to you individually. That's again why nobody can do these documents for you. It's on this list though because it's something we're always looking for. So the power of attorney for healthcare is going to allow an agent to make personal and healthcare decisions for you as if they are you. So they get to make them to the same extent as though you made that choice. They will have access to your healthcare information, and this document is durable. That means it continues even after you lose capacity. Your power of attorney for property is a little misnamed because it's not about property per se, not only about property. You don't have to own a house or own land for this document. It's all about naming an agent who's going to help you with your finances according to how you want them to be taken care of when you're physically or mentally incapacitated. Um, that agent will have power to make decisions regarding your assets, such as your finances, bank accounts, and other types of property. It does include real estate. So if you're renting a unit, say you have a two flat and you're renting out the first floor, they could continue those transactions. Depending on how much power you give them, they could sell that property to care for you if you're in a nursing home. As a matter of practicality, often if you have a mortgage, this is going to let your agent make your mortgage payments. It's going to let your agent pay the bills, pay your credit card, access your bank account. That's what we see these documents used for most often. But like I said, they're for everyone. So there are lots of different powers you can include depending on your circumstances. Like I said, lots of power. These are the default powers that are included in the power of attorney for property. I'm not going to read all of them, but a couple good examples here. Real estate. If you really don't want your child or your agent to sell your property, you could cross it out. We talk about stocks and bonds and safe deposit boxes. I like to bring these up just as an example. If you don't have a safety deposit box today, you don't know that you won't have one in 20 years. Not having something on this list doesn't mean that you have to cross it out. Um, on that note, too, if you end up crossing out 6 of these items, I might question, do you really trust the person that you're naming if you don't want to give them any power? If you don't want them to do real estate transactions or access your safety deposit box or help you with your social security and unemployment and military benefits, if you don't want them to help you with your taxes, I might question, is this the right person? We might need to have that conversation. Depending on what your choices are for your power of attorney for healthcare, we might help you draft a living will declaration. So these documents, powers of attorney, only last until you pass away. They are effective up until the moment of death. The power of attorney for healthcare does apply to several circumstances that happen so close after death that they are deemed to be at death. So those would be um, whether you want to be buried or cremated, whether or not you authorize an autopsy, and whether or not you authorize organ donation. Those are included in that power of attorney for healthcare. Depending on your end of life choices, we might draft the living will declaration, and it's only if you want to be removed from life sustaining treatment. The terminology they use is if the length of your life is more important to you than the quality of your life. I'm pretty sure those are the words. I might have gotten them backwards, but it doesn't authorize anybody to do anything. This document backstops everything that was in the power of attorney for healthcare. If this is something that you are interested in and you want this document, it's really nice if your loved one, your agent, is in a position to remove life support for your child or your loved one to see this written in 2 places. That's why we make 2 documents. Your power of attorney for healthcare is completely enough in this situation. This document is only valid if your power of attorney for healthcare is not. But again, it's sometimes very nice and comforting for your loved ones to see it written out in 2 places to avoid that feeling of, I'm killing my dad, because that's not what this document is about. Again, it doesn't authorize anybody to do anything. It is not a POLST. If you really don't want to be resuscitated, we do encourage you to talk to your doctor or medical professional about creating a POLST, a POLST. That is a more comprehensive document, whereas this one is only about that very small end of life decision. So revocation, right? These documents survive while you're alive. They terminate at death. Um, but that means what if life happens? Life is messy. What if you change your mind? What if you've named an agent that you don't like anymore? What if your agent was your husband and you got divorced? You don't want them to be your power of attorney anymore, right? So you can always revoke these documents while you have capacity. And there is an optional 30-day cooling off period in the power of attorney for healthcare to prevent against instances where a person revokes their power of attorney because they are in a mental health crisis. And then maybe when they're not in that crisis anymore, they regret that decision. That 30-day cooling off period is a protectionary mechanism that you can draft into this document. Of course, when it comes to revocation, the best way to revoke these documents is to make a new one. You have capacity. You can revoke these documents by creating a new one to put new agents on paper to help you. Of course, traditional forms of revocation are always valid: tearing, burning, shredding, um, any way you can think of physically destroying. And whenever you do revoke these documents, you're going to want to provide copies of new ones to your agents, the bank, the hospitals. These are documents where people need to know that they can act on your behalf. You want your hospital to know who to call when you're there. You want your bank to know who can and cannot call about your account. So, like I said, this is about advanced planning. We talked about capacity. We talked about what happens if you want to change the documents. But what if it's too late? What if you don't have capacity and you didn't have a plan? But you're here. I'm telling you why, so hopefully you'll have one. But if you don't have a plan, Illinois has a plan for you. It's called the Illinois Healthcare and Surrogate Act. And there is also guardianship. Healthcare surrogacy is when comes into play when a patient in a medical setting lacks decisional capacity. The healthcare provider has to make a reasonable inquiry as to the availability of an authority um, agent under a power of attorney for healthcare. If they can't find one after a reasonable inquiry, then they have to look for possible surrogates. Um, Give me 1 second. It did that thing where it jumped. This is the list of how Illinois is going to look at your family tree. Sorry, I saw Felicia typing away. Um, so Illinois is going to look first to see if you have a guardian of the person. Um, Ideally, you didn't need to go through guardianship, but that is who they're going to look to. If you are married, they will look to your spouse. If you have adult children, they will look to those adult children. If you are fortunate to still have your parents alive, they will look to your parents, your adult siblings, your grandchildren, your close friends, and then a guardian of your estate, meaning a court's appointed somebody over your finances. Um, I like to point out here that if you don't have a plan, this is Illinois' plan for you. Um, and it takes into account what I call the natural family disposition. It doesn't account for chosen family. It doesn't account for a messy family. It doesn't account for who you love most, who matters to you most. Um, so if you are part of the LGBTQ plus community and your spouse is not married, you're not married to your spouse, that person becomes a close friend. And you can see there's a big difference in how Illinois will view them when it comes to your medical choices. If you do not talk to your spouse, but you're still married, they could potentially still come in and make decisions for you. If you are estranged from your parents or your siblings or your children, the state doesn't care. They still see them as having that close family tie to you. That's why we want to make a plan. Um, so this slide's all kind of about what I said. Illinois is going to substitute their judgment for you. You don't pick, they'll pick for you. Um, you know your best interest. Illinois doesn't. They're doing their best. This is what presumably the natural disposition is what historically is most prevalent. It does not mean that it applies to everybody. That is not how everybody like views their family. Um, and again, this is only for medical decisions, so it doesn't account for your finances. There is no one who's going to make a reasonable inquiry for your finances. And there's potential for disagreements. You can't have two spouses. That is polygamy. That's not allowed in the United States. But you could have two parents. You can have two brothers and sisters. And we know that when two people vote, they can vote 1-1. And that means there's a disagreement. A court could still have to get involved. So, say you have experienced a decline in mental capacity, you need assistance, but it's not acute. You're not in the hospital, but your family wants to help you. If you don't have a plan, if you haven't created power of attorney documents, your family will be looking to guardianship. And there's two types. There's guardianship of the person, which is all about you, it's your medical decisions. And then there's guardianship of the estate, which is your finances, because the law sees those as two different things. Um, Typically, we see powers of attorney as being proactive documents. You create them. You've made them. These are your plans. Guardianship is reactive. It is your family trying to help you, or it is the state trying to help you. So in general, a power of attorney is always going to trump guardianship. That power of attorney can only be done while you still have capacity, whereas guardianship is a process for when you don't have capacity and your family has to help you make a plan. Um, the principle, you stay in control when you draft those powers of attorney. They're all about you. Whereas guardianship requires the court to appoint a decision maker for you. The court's going to do their best, but they are going to look to that Illinois Surrogacy Act. That is what they look to. The power of attorney is a private agreement, whereas guardianship is a judicial order that's part of the public record. Your power of attorney can be revoked at any time, like we said. Except for power of attorney for property, you can't revoke that once you don't have capacity. Um, Guardianship is a court procedure. It requires a court procedure for you to get your rights back. Um, Typically, the power of attorney documents, especially if you qualify for our services, are easy to do and affordable. From us, they're free. Guardianship can be expensive. We do have that help desk down at the Daily Center. So if you qualify, we can provide some assistance, but the moment you own real property, it can get very expensive. Um, Power of attorney documents, really importantly, don't take away any rights. They are meant for you to name an agent to help you. They are not naming somebody who can take your stuff. Whereas under guardianship, the ward is adjudicated as a disabled person under the law, and it does severely curtail some civil rights. So just differing, the guardian of the person is about personal decisions, ordinary healthcare decisions, residential placement, and your social security. As you need a guardian of the estate, and that's a little more expensive to do if it's financial decisions, such as selling the house. Um, if you want to execute any contracts, any applications for benefits, so not just recertifying, but like actually applying for the first time, and estate planning. Um, you have to have that guardian of the estate do that. Really important too, even if you have a power of attorney for property, they cannot give your home away with a toady. So if you have a house, we need to talk about your separate home succession plan. On this screen, I do like to tell people that you can always contact us. I gave you a lot of information. You can contact us online at www.cdelaw.org. You can call us Monday through Friday, 9 to noon. With that said, if you don't get an answer on the first try, we saw that you called. We return every single phone call. It's not a hotline. We do take about 2 weeks after that initial phone call, just to assess your issue. And if we can assist, we will. If we can't, we're going to give you that tailored referral. On the screen, I do have this QR code. Because you attended tonight, this QR code will be valid for 1 week from today. So if you scan in here, that's just going to kind of bypass that pre-screen in the sense that I will call you directly and we will see if we can provide assistance to you. On that note, I'm going to stop sharing. This same QR code is linked in the chat. And I think that Felicia will also stop recording so that if you have any specific questions, we can answer those.
Wow, that was phenomenal. That was a lot of information. Um, I will stop recording if anyone has a very personal question they want to ask, or you can opt to use that QR code. Is the QR code in, do you mind putting that in the chat or the link to it in the
Let me
chat?
see if I can. I think I can.
Okay. Because what I really want to do is make sure that people are accessing it. I just suggest that you just take just grab that information no matter what.
Nailed
Just
it.
awesome. It's right. Okay, it's right there. So grab that QR code. You may not have a question now, but you may have one may formulate throughout the week. So go ahead and take advantage of the free resource. Thank you so much, Attorney Adams. That was phenomenal. I have like 5 questions.
I'm here for it. Keep me on my toes.
You tantalized my brain. The first question is more of I just want clarity. So you said in your presentation that a POA trumps a guardianship as long as the person is deemed able to still make decisions on their own.
Yeah. If you have capacity, your decisions are always going to be more important. They're going to be given more weight than the court. The court is the second. They're going to come in only if you can't speak for yourself. These power of attorney documents are really about personal autonomy and about preserving that autonomy as you age and as decisions become harder to make.
Awesome. Okay, I just wanted to make sure I heard that right. And then my other question is, what if a person, let's say the Department of Veterans Affairs, the VA, what if a family member has been appointed fiduciary over the individuals' finances because they deemed that the the person is not able to make their own decisions. Are you
I
still
would
just
have to see that document because that sounds a lot like a power of attorney.
yeah, I'm
Um,
wondering, is that the same? Is it weighted the same? Does one trump the other or
I'd actually have to look at that document just because I'm not sure. I
okay,
haven't seen one, so I'm not positive. It sounds a lot like it is a power of attorney document. And people make power of attorneys um, at their doctor's office all the time. They're not that with finances, that's a little interesting, but I do know it's not uncommon for a doctor to say like you should make a power of attorney for medical decisions. So I'd
okay,
be interested in looking at that to see if they're similar or different.
okay. I think I can get that to you. My third question is, so I think you may have already answered it, but I'm gonna ask it anyway. What if a individual has appointed someone to be their POA? Their health is declining, and other people that are close to the individual are maybe not comfortable with the person that they appointed POA. How does that get changed once they come to a place where they're in total cognitive decline, they're not really able to make their own decisions? How can the POA get changed, or at that point, is it just a guardianship?
That's actually a really good question. So first, when you name an agent, you're giving them a lot of power over you. That's why you want to be very selective in this process. Um, when somebody is named as an agent, they can act. They can also not act. And if they choose not to, we include successor agents in the document. Um, and of course, when the agent is acting, that doesn't mean they have to act alone. So say I have three children. I named one as my agent. My three children can all talk to each other about what the agent should do. What I am gathering from this question, though, is that what if the rest of the family doesn't agree with the agent? And that is a delicate question, because that is the person that was named by the principal, that even if they don't have capacity, they gave them that power. Um, I don't want to speak any further than that because I don't know the process to remove somebody who's been named as a power of attorney. But I would be happy to research it and provide more information.
Okay. I think. Oh, it was only four questions.
Oh,
So I'm done. I'm done. I'm sorry I hogged your time. Does anyone else have
oh.
any questions? This was really great information. Um, okay. While I'm going ahead and setting up just for the final few things that we want to go over. Can everyone see my presentation?
Right now, we just see the words Felicia Williams has started screen sharing and double click to enter full screen mode.
Hmm. Can you see it now?
Yes.
Okay. Are we still looking at the lovely Attorney Adams? Okay, awesome. All right. So again, this was a really impactful session. As you can see, I had a lot of questions. Other people may have questions later. So I hope you take advantage of that QR code. With all that we do, we want to make sure that we are definitely providing services and resources that can connect you to something that you may need. So on this page, we're looking at on the left-hand side, we're looking at Martha Rice. She is a expert in wound care. I came across her at a vendor event. She does multiple other things as well, but she definitely helps with wound care. And I know that if you are taking care of someone that is either bedridden or they are not moving around a lot, wound care can be is very essential. One of our very dear family members had a very, very unfortunate experience with wounds that were not being treated properly, and it just turned out very horrible. So I can't stress it enough how important it is. And if you feel that you're lacking or you need more support in that area, please reach out. Take a screenshot or jot down her information. Below her, I have the Share Network. They do something called memory cafes. The Share Network is out of the University of Chicago, and it's a phenomenal resource for anyone that is dealing with memory care or needs more resources for caregivers. It's just a really wonderful program. They have really wonderful programs, one of which, again, is the Memory Care Cafe. I did put their information in the chat. So what they really do is a social gathering that they provide all over the city. Because as Attorney Adams said, Chicago is huge. It has a huge footprint. So they have locations all over the city that participate. And usually each location has a calendar full of days that you can come out with your loved one, and you guys can just have a nice outing, a nice social event, and have fun. On the right-hand side, we have something called the University of Chicago Memory Care Center, and they provide free art kits. So if you're looking for something for your loved one to do at home, something to kind of keep them occupied, or maybe something that you can do together at home, please tap into that resource. Their information is also in the chat, as well as the Chicago Public Library offers free memory kits. And these are little activities and tasks or games that come in like a little bag, and you can check them out just like you would a book and have, again, another activity to do at home. I also wanted to share with you some of one of our upcoming events that's happening. Cause We Care is also, we also provide caregiver support groups. So our next one is going to be on Thursday, next Thursday, actually, on the 30th at 7 p.m. If you want more information about that, please contact us and we will send you the Zoom link for that. In addition, I just wanted to share with you some of our past events. We had an info session last month that was about looking into what happens when dementia sets in, how your mind ages and the impact of it, and what are the indicators of onset dementia. It was really a great session, much like tonight. Just a lot of rich information. So please, there's a link to that in the chat, as well as I had a podcast. Martha Rice, who I just spoke of with the wound care, she interviewed me, and I shared our story about how Seed to Fruit came to be into existence and our journey up until now. So I will always love to end our sessions with a really great quote. And one of my favorite authors, oh, I just loved her as a young girl. Growing up, I read her books. She's a poet, an activist, and later in life even became an actress. So this is a quote that she said. I learned a long time ago the wisest thing I can do is be my own on my own side, be an advocate for myself and others like me. I thought that was a great way to end the session because yes, isn't that great? We need to learn how to advocate not just for ourselves, but once we do that for ourselves, then we can then become an advocate for someone else. And I think that's just God's plan and why he created people so that we could, once we learn something, we can bless somebody else with that. Yes, thank you so much, Attorney Adams. I love it. Yeah. So that's what this whole journey is about in life. And I just really appreciate the time that all of you took out of your evening to join us. And I so appreciate just the all the rich information that we shared tonight. So I want to thank you from the bottom of our hearts. This will be recorded. So if you are wanting access to this recording, you can contact us and we will send you out the recording. Maybe you want to review the information or share it with someone else. But with that, I just want to invite you guys to join us in closing prayer, and then we will end the session for the evening. Ricardo, could you do the honors?
Father, in the name of Jesus, we just thank you right now, Father, for the information that was gone before us tonight, Father. We think that if anyone had any questions, Father, about the information, Father, that it resonated tonight, Father, and their questions might have been answered or their concerns might have been answered, Father, tonight. And we just thank you, Father, that as everyone leaves this meeting, Father, if they have a hedge of protection around them, Father, and their hearts and minds are always open to receive new information to help with health care or their loved one, Father. So we just thank you for this information. In Jesus' mighty name we pray. Amen.